What's happening, Church Folk Revolution? PimpPreacher.com. It's your boy TJ. PimpPreacher.com. Wanted to shoot a video for you before I start my day. And my work day. Before I start my work day. And it's important that I say that, right? Work day, right? Because what I want to talk to you about this morning is this concept that we have to pay these preachers to preach the gospel, right? And guys, this concept of paid preachers is completely destroying church as you know it, right? It's destroying it. It's tearing church to shreds, right? And I can say that because I'm seeing what money is doing to church, right? I'm watching church become this very heartless, cold-blooded place where the gospel is contingent upon someone receiving compensation, right? We're going to hear the gospel. Then there must be some exchange, some sort of deal brokered where somebody has to get paid in order to preach this gospel. Just imagine that, like Jesus Christ died for us. He died like one of the most excruciating deaths imaginable, Romans had perfected the art of killing people. They mastered killing. And the death that was selected for him was one of the most, it is this inhumane way to die, right? So you have this Christ that died for us, right? That was willing to suffer that. And, the effort that went into spreading this gospel. And just talking about the first tier church, everything that they had to do. And at the risk of dying, at the risk of, being burned alive or, crucified as well. Everything that went into spreading this gospel, only to have a church emerge from that figured out a way to monetize Jesus, to put a price tag on Jesus. So now, if you fast forward till today, right? Yeah, preachers want honorariums to come preach. You have these fake revivals, right? Which are nothing more than opportunity to rake in some more money during the middle of a week, And because of paid preachers, right? Guys who receive salary from preaching. We have a church right now that I honestly believe, if Paul or Peter, right? Any of these guys were to emerge today, they wouldn't even recognize this thing that we are calling church. This is not church, guys. Don't confuse this with church. What this is an opportunity for somebody to make money. Period. It's an opportunity for somebody to make money. To pay somebody to tell you about the love of God is the most ridiculous thing, the most anti-Christ thing that we could ever do. To pay someone to tell you the good news that was written 2,000 years ago, right? Accounts of Jesus Christ that was written 2,000 years ago, to pay somebody to teach us, to tell you about God it's stupid, right? Now, even if you have never heard of Jesus Christ, right? Even if you have never heard of Jesus, like you popped out of an eggshell, like hatched out of an eggshell, and you have never heard of Jesus Christ. For someone to charge you to tell you about Jesus Christ is criminal. That's criminal, right? That is, it's the same as a lot of the pharmaceutical companies who have cures and who have treatments for illnesses, but a lot of people can't get to that treatment, right? Because of the cost of the medication. And some would argue, well, TJ, that is an actual business. That's a pharmaceutical company. And being that I'm a business owner, I would agree, right? Because I don't give any of my cars away for free, right? That's my business, right? However, when you move that over to Jesus Christ, then it should be free. There shouldn't be ever a time when someone preach a gospel and then we have to pay for it, right? Well, I said, well, TJ, well, how are you going to have church if nobody's paying for this stuff? Nobody's going to give money. And I'll give you that, because the only way to support these buildings, right? The only way these buildings can survive in this overhead of church is if somebody pays for it. But that doesn't mean that we need to pay him. This dude, this pastor, he should preach because God called him to preach and no other reason. No other reason. That should be the reason he preached. It shouldn't be any money involved in that, because if God called you to preach, then go preach. If you say that there was a call on your life, then go preach. Don't charge me for the call on your life. Because then at the point that you're charging us for the call on your life, then you've just ran a scam on us. You've made us pay for your calling. Well, that's not Christ. That's business. That's a business. And that person is a contractor for Christ. He's a business owner in and through Christ, but he's not a servant of Christ. Stop calling these people servants. Stop calling these people men of God. If a man is accepting money to preach the gospel, he is not a man of God. He is a man of money. And you need to stop using these terms. I don't care if it's TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar. I don't care how big or how small. I'm even dare enough to say that anybody that would accept a salary for preaching the gospel they don't know Christ. They don't know Christ. It's impossible to know Jesus Christ and accept a salary for preaching. Well, how can you say that, TJ? If this man is able-bodied, right, like I am, able to provide and take care of my family, right? If this man has this ability to do this, he has ability to get a job or get a business, and he's not doing that, but rather he's taking money from a church. So in other words, he's living off of donations. Then I got to ask you a question. You mean to tell me there are no other issues more pressing in that church that would be a better use of those donations than giving it to a man who is able to work, who is able? Well, Paul didn't like it. Paul said if a man don't work, dude shouldn't eat. Dude shouldn't have nothing to eat if he don't work. So in any case that you would try to justify paying a pastor, I promise you, I can identify 3 members in the church that need that money more than he does. I can identify at least 10 people in that church that money would just be an absolute blessing to him. Imagine if the money that was going to Paul Morton, the money that they've paid Paul Morton over the years, from 1970, right, when he took over Greater St. Stephen's, until today. Imagine if all of that money would have gone right back into the city of New Orleans. Imagine that, right? Imagine if during the 2008 housing crisis, right, when pastors were still pressing people to give money, and people were losing their homes. They got people in church right now still losing their homes. Yet we're paying a pastor, right? right? We're paying a dude who could work and could go out and do other things and could give that money back to the church. Being if you want to support this thing called church, you want to support these buildings and all of this stuff, okay, right? Okay, I'll give you that. Support this overhead, this of church. But why we're not defunding the pastor? Why we're not defunding him? Okay, if you want to keep your building, keep your building. I don't agree with buildings. I don't like church buildings. My house is my church. I'm the pastor of my house, right? I go out, I do work in the community, right? I interact with other believers. I'm interacting with you right now. So I don't necessarily believe in church buildings, but if you're free to worship however you choose. So if you just choose to worship that way, then okay. But why you have to pay him? Why? And I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. Paying a pastor to tell you about the love of God is like paying someone to watch them chew food. And you have a whole mouth full of teeth. Yet you pay someone to watch them chew food. That's how ridiculous this is. That's not the love of God. That's not a man of God. Anybody accepting a dime from preaching a gospel that they did not write. They didn't participate in this gospel in no shape, form, or fashion. They didn't even die for it. Yet they accept compensation for it as if they own it. That is a Christian criminal. That's a criminal. That's not a man of God. They don't even know God. They don't even have a relationship with God, because it's impossible to have a true relationship with Jesus Christ and take from the poor. Do you understand how ridiculous we are as a body of Christ, as a whole, that we would pay a man who's able to work? We would take from poor people and give it to a man, and so he could buy another suit and another pair of gator shoes and another car and send his kids to the best colleges, the best schools, while your kids are on Pell Grants, just struggling to get in college. You've paid tithes for so long. His lifestyle, he's now in either the upper middle class or he's flat out rich from money that was intended for the poor. I can't support this, and I'll continue to speak out on this until I die. Stop paying these preachers. If you are sitting under a preacher that is receiving a salary, then you've heard me say this, right? You've heard me say this. Ask him, isn't there a better use of this money, being that you're able to work like we're able to work? You're able to get a job like we're able to get a job, right? I'm headed out. I have some vehicles that's going to run through an auction today, right? We got to get out and hustle, right? You're able to hustle, Pastor. Why are you not hustling, right? Why are you taking money that we could use to pay for prescriptions, that help single moms, that can take care of the widow? Everything, this thing called Bible and them pages, everything that's written in there that it says that what we're supposed to do with this money, why are we giving it to him? So guys, I challenge you today, and I'm going to end this right now. I challenge you to stop paying preachers. Stop it. End this. This is why we've created a welfare system for pastors. And you can't just give somebody something, And this is why these preachers don't respect us. They think we're stupid. They call us zombies, right? They've lost all respect for us, because you can't just give somebody something and think that they're going to have an appreciation for it. This is why you're getting watered down sermons. This is why you're being manipulated. This is why they're constantly coming up with things, asking you for $65 million for jet planes and all of this. This is a pastor welfare that has to end. It has to stop right now. And I challenge all of you to do so. In this welfare, defund these preachers right now and tell them, brother, if you're not going to work, you're not going to eat. Not off of us. Not off of us. If I got to get up in the morning and go to work, dude, you're gonna get your butt up, and you're gonna get up and go to work too, in the name of Jesus. It's your boy TJ, Church Folk Revolution, pimppreacher.com.